All right, welcome everybody. Today we have another episode of LiliPod. Have the great Axios and myself, Lord Gandhi. We're going to talk a little bit about MyLilius as a whole, and different things we have coming out. So I guess we'll jump right into it. The great Axios slash Sawyer. Um, can you tell the people what we have going on right now, what we're going to be releasing soon, and what's kind of further down the timeline?
Absolutely. So we are, as everybody knows, we are a infrastructure that is designed to be built on top of Web3 and provide that bridge back to Web2. That being said, this infrastructure is devised in a way where we can tack on different products and we can allow other people to come tack on as well in order to provide the greatest benefit to both the community in terms of the consumers, as well as the developers and the businesses and whoever really wants to utilize at the end of the day, which the way we're building it, we hope is everybody, because it's designed to bring benefit to everybody. That being said, in order to interact with this infrastructure, there needs to be what is kind of considered a gateway. And so one of the most common gateways to interact with Web3 as a whole right now is wallets. Whether it's centralized or decentralized wallets, a wallet is probably the most popular way to interact just because you can do the most core functionality, right? Send, receive, and view. Whether it's NFTs, tokens, or whatever it may be, that's the core piece of functionality that the entire Web3 ecosystem is built on. Currently, the existing wallets are absolutely amazing, right? Most of our viewership, you guys have probably used either MetaMask or My Ether wallet, Gnosis Safe, or maybe Phantom or Solid or something if you're on the Solana end of things. But there's hundreds, potentially thousands of wallets that are really, really amazing, and they all bring different value to users. That being said, getting into Web3 is a really difficult endeavor, right? There's a lot of pieces that you have to understand and learn and then configure just to get yourself up and going in order to just trade, basic ERC20 tokens and use DEXs and things like that. And so the first product that's designed to kind of onboard individuals into this infrastructure that will be MyLilius is actually going to be the MyLilius wallet. And so the MyLilius wallet is not designed to be necessarily a competitor to any of the existing wallets because, like I said, they're amazing. They do really great things. But as an entity, MyLilius, we've kind of seen this gap in the market, which is the average person is having a very hard time coming into Web3 because there's just too much to understand. And so this MyLilius wallet is actually designed and built completely from scratch. It's not a fork of anybody in a way that allows users to just kind of get up and going. They don't have to think about setting up things like networks, setting up things like how do I, add tokens and do all these crazy things. The majority of the complex functionality and the configuration is automatically done on initial setup. And additionally, it's actually done on a consistent basis. So while you're using the wallet, it's actually tying into all sorts of different services in order to consistently update that configuration. So as a consumer, you don't have to. And that way, your onboarding experience in the Web3 is kind of like onboarding into a Web2 application, right? You go and you download Venmo or Cash App or Facebook, right? You create an account and you just get moving. And that's the experience that we really want to put out to the consumer, to our community, as they're getting prepared to go into Web3 for the first time. Absolutely. So obviously, as you just said, the feel of it is designed to be unique in that it doesn't feel as much like a Web3 wallet. It feels a lot more like a Web2 peer-to-peer transaction mechanism. That's kind of the style, the feel of it. But that being said, in order to get it into that place, we've had to do a lot of research and design in terms of how users actually interact with this entire landscape of Web3. And so probably my favorite and probably the biggest thing that we've done is we've actually found a way to aggregate, and not to be rude to anybody, but if you don't know what aggregate means, it's essentially combine. We're looking to aggregate all of the data, whether it's networks, tokens, transactions, all the different pieces, we're actually aggregating those together into more of a singular place. And so You may have seen like a coin tracker from Coinbase is a really popular one that people use if they're Coinbase users. It aggregates your tokens into like a portfolio view. And obviously, Coinbase kind of does this as well, right? Because they're that more centralized entity. They're all the networks combined. None of the decentralized wallets really do this, and that's kind of the biggest underlying difference and unique factor of the MyLilius wallet is that this data is aggregated for you. So, for example, USDC, right? USD Circle, the stable coin, probably one of the most popular tokens in the entire landscape, just because A, Circle, obviously amazing company, and B, it's stable, right? It hasn't had any depegging issues or anything like that, and so it's very popular. Has a lot of support from a lot of people. Um, USDC is on a lot of networks. I forget what the last count was, but I think I counted at least like 15. That token is everywhere, right? And so, as a normal user, you may only be on one or two networks, probably mostly one network, right? Whether it's Ethereum or a Scale chain or Polygon or Binance or Solana, whatever it may be, you're probably on one network. But the key piece about Web3 with this whole decentralization idea is that your money and your assets are cross-chain compatible, especially with all these bridges coming into play. And so you might have all your money on Ethereum, but you might say, hey, there's this, really, really cool, social network or DeFi app or game on a different network, and I want to go use it. And now I have to take my USDC or I have to take my ETH or whatever the token may be, and I have to get it to that network. Well, now all of a sudden, with the existing wallets, you have to switch RPCs and do all this crazy configuration just to start using this DApp on another network. Where with the MyLilius wallet, that USDC token, all of the networks are actually listed on the same page. So you might have $1,000 of USDC on Ethereum. You might have a couple $100 of USDC on Polygon. You might have $1 million of USDC on Europa chain, where Ruby Exchange is going to be. And this value, right, a million plus 1,000 plus, a few $100. That's if my math is correct, something like $1 million, give or take, plus a couple hundred, plus a couple thousand, whatever it is. That number is actually aggregated at the top of the token. So you see USDC, you'll see 1 million plus 300 plus 1,000, whatever that number is. That's what you're going to see under USDC. Additionally, underneath that, you'll see Ethereum, Polygon, Europa, and any other network that you have USDC on. They'll all be split, and you can do all of your normal functionality, send, receive, all that fun stuff. But the key is that whether you're an advanced user, you've been around since when Bitcoin first came out, or whether you're just getting on for your first time now into Web3, you kind of have this idea that's more along the lines of a bank account, right? I see all my numbers, I know how much money I have, and that's it. I don't have to sit there and switch networks. I don't have to go to a specific DApp to see values. It's there. If the money is on this wallet, it's there. Additionally, moving forward over time, as we look to aggregate wallets across different, Bitcoin network and Solana and all these fun things, you'll have even more value because you'll actually be able to say, hey, I have 25 wallets across all these different networks, and they all contain USDC, and this is my money, right? Because that's how like digital banking works, right? You have all your bank accounts listed under one account. That's kind of our goal in terms of how this is going to work and feel and look. Is it's all there. You don't have to think. You can just use.
That was a good description. I know when I first kind of got in, I didn't use a lot of dApps and a lot of things I thought were interested because I didn't know how to switch networks at first. It was just such a confusing process, honestly. But over time, I figured it out. It's just like, but I don't think people should have to go through that challenge of learning and getting over those hurdles just to use something that they think is cool. Like that's not how we use the internet now. It shouldn't be how you use it in Web3. So no, that's awesome. What else do we have? We have dots. I mean, most people probably know what a dot is. If you don't, a dot is a digitally optimized twin. Um, Basically aggregates all your data for your digital identity into one. But so if you could go a little deeper into the dot and actually the dot name service, I think that'll help people out a bit.
Absolutely. So as Anthony said, this digitally optimized twin is essentially a representation of you on the internet, right? And so we, as well as probably everybody else, knows that there's way too many identities. There's identity protocols, there's accounts, there's all this different data. And at the end of the day, it all describes you. So what your dot really is, it's this kind of concentrated repository of you, but the way it's built is in a decentralized manner. That way, me, the builder of it, doesn't have control over your data because I don't want control of your data. That's your data. It's yours. You keep it. But I'm going to build the tooling along with Lord Gandhi to allow you to bring this data in and utilize it in kind of a very unopinionated manner, right? It's an infrastructure. So we want other people to come in and say, hey, I'm going to build XYZ protocol on top of this, and I'm going to use your data from some platform in order to give you a better experience. That being said, that's a complicated matter. People will have a hard time understanding that. That's okay. It's a very abstract topic. So we're going to actually look at something that is a lot easier to understand. The Ethereum name service. If you don't know what the Ethereum name service is, I believe it's ens.com or ens.org or something like that. Make sure you go to the right URL so you don't get phished. That being said, really, really amazing technology. Kind of one of the first, I believe it was the first decentralized domain service or name service. And what it allows you to do is basically buy a domain, which, for example, I may have, MyLilius.eth or TheGreatAxios.eth or whatever it may be. And when people want to send me money, if the wallet or the platform they're using is ENS compatible, which majority are because it's built into some of the amazing Web3 libraries that the developers use, you can now send me money using TheGreatAxios.eth, right? That's amazing functionality. That's like what we use when we use Venmo or PayPal or Cash App or some of the other companies that may be over in Europe. I apologize if there's other ones I don't know. That being said, one issue with this ENS service is it's built on top of Ethereum, and it's very hard to get it to go cross-chain, right? You have to manually configure that as a developer if you want to, and most developers, they don't want to do that. Additionally, you can have multiple domains through ENS because they're just NFTs. So you can have as many as you want if you can afford it. While this is great because we are fully in support of freedom and the ability to do these things, the issue that we run into is as a sender, if I want to send Lord Gandhi money and he has 72 Ethereum names, how do I know which one he wants to go to? Because he could have them all hooked up to the same account. He could also have them all hooked up to different accounts. I don't know. It gets confusing. And so as a sender, as a receiver, in this very basic example of I want to send Lord Gandhi 100 USDC, I can actually use his dot name now. His dot name, which I'm going to presume is going to be Lord Gandhi, because my plan is to have mine the Great Axios, I can now send to Lord Gandhi. And what it's actually going to do is it's going to grab his Ethereum address based on that, because our initial launch platform is going to be SKALE Network. SKALE Network is Ethereum compatible. Therefore, his Ethereum address that he already has on Ethereum, he can bring it over to SKALE, and I can say, okay, I'm going to send to Lord Gandhi, and he now has his $100 in USDC. That being said, I actually just sent him that money on Ethereum Network. That's the best part. Our DNS service is actually cross EVM compatible by default because the way our wallet is configured, like I said, we took all this complexity away from you, is as long as you're using a supported network in our wallet, which we're up to, I think it's like 20 right now, but there's like hundreds of EVM-based networks. EVM is Ethereum-based network, by the way. As long as we support it, which we plan on supporting them all as much as we can, as quickly as we can, you'll be able to use a dot name to send anybody money or to send them an NFT. You don't have to do the work. You just say, okay, I know Lord Gandhi. I know who he is. I want to send him money. Now, let's take a step back from that for a second. What if you don't know who Lord Gandhi is? What if you don't know who he is? What do you do? The answer is right now, nothing, because it's the same thing with the Ethereum name service. If you don't know who they are, the only way you can send them money is with a public key. The only way you're getting their public key is by knowing who they are. And so a secondary piece of where we want to take this platform over the coming months and post launch is we want to have a way to essentially create a cross-chain address book. Right now, if you use any of the existing wallets, you can create addresses, right? You can say, okay, Lord Gandhi is this address, and then when I want to go send money, I can quickly just pick his address, right? We'll have very similar functionality because that's the industry standard, and that's completely fine. But now let's say, I know Lord Gandhi's phone number, I know his email, I know his ENS name, I know whatever the piece is, I can know his Twitter handle, who knows? I want a way for me to basically check and see if he has a dot, because the dot name service is essentially this entire infrastructure layer that runs on top of the entire Web3 networks, all of them. right? And so I know that got really abstract for a second, so I'm gonna simplify this example. Okay, I know that Lord Gandhi's Twitter handle is ABCD, and I want to send him $100 in USDC, but I don't know his Ethereum name service, I don't know his public address for his wallet, and I don't know his dot name. So one of the things that we're actually looking to do is say, okay, I put in ABCD, and it's going to say, okay, this is a Twitter handle, and it's going to pop up, you know, Lord Gandhi. Maybe it pops up some random person from Facebook. Maybe it pops up someone from decentralized social. Who knows? It could pop up all sorts of data. Then, as the user, it's up to you to say, okay, I want this individual. That being said, is that an ideal situation to say, well, I don't really know if this is him? Absolutely not. But right now, the only way to really verify these things is through centralized services, right? And so as a community, we're going to actually pull our community and say, how comfortable are you with us integrating these pieces? Because we can make your lives easier, right? Checking phone numbers, checking emails, because at the end of the day, the entire world is built on this Web2 infrastructure, and that's just the truth of it. We'd love to port it all to Web3, but where is that data going? It has to go somewhere. And so while that infrastructure may be ported, that data may be ported over time, right now, what we're looking from the community is feedback on how much of the centralized infrastructure do you guys want us to integrate with in order to provide a seamless user experience that no other wallet currently has.